This is the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. We have assembled the world's finest sports and trivia dorks to prove once and for all that we are just as bad at this as we were at sports.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, sports trivia for those of us who rode the pine. I'm your host, Eric the Elder, in spite of what Josh's face is doing in my camera right now. And today's game will be pitting the Benchwarmer team of Dan and Mason versus Benchwarmer Josh and newcomer Matt Takimoto. All right, so welcome to the bench, Matt. Why don't you take a minute to let us know where you're from, what teams you root for, and anything else you'd like to share.
Yeah, thanks y'all for having me on. Born and raised in the Bay, currently living in the Bay, so I'm a Giants, Warriors, big-time Giants and Warriors fan, a smaller-time Niners and Sharks fan, and then I also grew up rooting for Cal football, so I have learned that nothing is real and nothing matters. And then I went to undergrad at the University of Oregon, so I also learned through Oregon sports that your heart will be ripped out of your chest. So it's both of those things put together.
Yeah, well, you have a sympathetic soul in David Lux and a not-so-sympathetic soul in Marcus that are on the podcast, so welcome, and thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you here for your first game. Josh, who will be teaming with Matt today, how are you doing? Let us know what your team's going to be.
Excuse me, I'm doing well. I just wanted to let everybody know and thank Matt for being a patron for our Patreon team. He's one of our equipment managers, so he carries our equipment. Equipment.
What were you going to say, Josh?
I decided to be a little less blue, so let's just say equipment. And so thank you, and thank you to all the other patrons who are listening. But yeah, no, I'm doing well. I'm missing the Oscars at the moment, but I'm recording it so I can go back and watch it later. And with that, our team name is topical to the Oscars. We are tonight going to be And the Award Goes To.
All right, I will try to limit the use of ands before and not make that confusing at all. But on the other side of the coin tonight, we have Mr. Dan and Mr. Mason. Gentlemen, tell us how you're doing and what your team name is going to be.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. My wife and I are in the midst of house hunting, and we have found one that we're really interested in. We've gotten pre-approved and everything, so hopefully in the next couple of months we'll have everything settled. By that point, I'll have a whole nother place to record because I recorded in a lot of different locations. This will hopefully be a long-term location for me to record, so that's fun.
The one that you did in the back of a van was really strange. But
Which one?
I did one in what looked like a gym. If you remember the one with the, I don't know who was on that episode, but there's a workout equipment in the background. It's in a hotel room in Los Angeles, all sorts of random places.
My favorite was Hurricane Bunker Mason.
Yeah.
That episode was a solid one.
Well, it wasn't particularly fun on my end, but anyway.
I've been a stay-at-home dad for the last stay-at-home's not actually the right word I'm looking for. I've been a single dad for the last few days. Stay-at-home long time ago, not anymore. But anyway, my wife is in sunny Florida and waiting for her flight. It keeps getting delayed, so she's probably going to be getting home in the middle of this tonight. So I may have to jump up and say hi at least when she gets back. Other than that, my weekend's been fairly empty, devoid of anything, because when Dad's home, we just kind of skate by. So Mason has a new quarterback, and well, Mason doesn't. The Saints do, but by proxy, Mason does too. And I'm a big fan of the Beatles. And don't know if you knew that or not. And Mason's a big fan of anything 60s and 70s music. So I think we struck a chord with our team name tonight. We are going to be Maybe You Can Drive My Car. Car with two R's, get it?
Car. It's a pirate version. We'll get Mason's hot sports opinions on that before the end of the episode.
Oh, okay.
How hot can they be? He's a drastic improvement over anything they had.
That's not saying much, though.
He's also the best one in the conference now, best quarterback in the conference now. That's also not saying much.
Is there a question mark at the end of your team name?
Yeah, because we're not sure.
I'm very unsure. So,
all right, inflection will be accounted for appropriately. Well, let's kick it over to previous Dan for the rules.
One take, Dan.
One take Dan.
I'm sick of you just questioning that. For all everybody knows, it's one take on everything I do. The game will consist of 4 quarters of play, each with different trivia style. The styles of quarters 1 through 3 will change from show to show, and I will explain them as we go along. Like any good sporting event, we will have a halftime show after the second quarter with entertainment questions. And in the fourth quarter, our teams will wager from their points accumulated to see who are today's clipboard captains, to be honored like the true benchwarmers they are. All right, let's get this game underway.
All right. Today's first quarter will be sporting haikus.
Sporting haikus. For this quarter, there will be 4 questions in haiku form. Each question is worth 25 points.
Hold my breath. The last time you did pretty well with them. Well, let's see how they go today.
Look, there's a little Josh on my shoulder every time I write these now, just shaking his head at me.
Why do you have a little Josh?
I don't know. He just shows up. I don't invite him, but he's very judgy.
Is he the only bench warmer you have?
Yes. I think so. All right. Let's go to question number 1. Youngest slalom champ, 0 medals in Beijing, 87 World Cup wins.
We will check in.
All right. And the award goes to, has checked in, so maybe you can drive my car. You guys can talk it out.
This Michaela Schifrin?
Can you explain the World Cup wins part?
World Cup is a skiing term as well.
Why the question mark?
Oh, sorry, because it's in the because the question mark is in the question.
Okay. Maybe you can drive my car. 87 World Cup wins. Like I know inflection's a big thing now, but okay. I didn't even realize there was a World Cup for that. I was thinking it was a country just by the last clue. So, yeah, I wish that wouldn't even make sense for the number, but okay.
If it's not Michaela Schifrin, I have no idea who it is. So
right. Yeah. That's okay. Fine with it.
We'll check that in.
All right. And the award goes to?
Yeah, we had pretty much the same idea. I think, her kind of disappointing Beijing Olympics was kind of a big story throughout. So we also checked in with Michaela Schifrin.
All right. Both teams will be receiving points. Correct answer was Michaela Schifrin. Indeed, Michaela broke Lindsey Vohn's record yesterday or the day before. Lindsey Vohn's record of 86 World Cup wins and is currently tied with Ingmar Stenmark for the most World Cup victories, male or female. And they have a quote from him where he was like, "She's a better skier than I ever was." So I thought that was kind of cool. I was reading that yesterday. All right, question number 2. Undrafted in 10, rushing TD leader in 16, 3 Super Bowl rings. You'll notice I have removed the question mark from the remainder of these in order to avoid confusion.
We're going to check in.
All right, and the award goes to has checked in, so maybe you can drive my car, question mark? You can talk it out.
So we both land on the same first thought with LeGarrette Blount.
2016? That's
he would have been with the Patriots.
Yeah, that's plausible that he had the touchdown lead.
Right. And he has 3 rings, 2 with the Patriots and 1 with the Eagles, because I know that he switched that like next year after the Patriots and he went with the Eagles and beat them. I'm pretty sure.
I think that's good enough to check that in.
And 2010 is about the time he came in the league. I don't know if he was undrafted. I thought he was drafted, but maybe he wasn't.
I mean, he had character issues going in. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but
right. Oh wait, Matt's Oregon, so that would make sense too if we're gonna play that card too. But
all right, let's do it. We'll check in with LeGarrette Blount.
All right, and the award goes to?
We had basically the exact same line of thinking. I think our big question too was he drafted? He definitely left Oregon in 10. I was actually at the the game in Boise.
The game?
He punched
Wow.
Byron out. Yeah, that was a zoo. And the only reason there was like a riot was because the video board announcer caught the clip of it and then played it on a loop on the big screen in the stadium.
Whoa.
And no one would have known about it otherwise, except they threw it up on the big screen about 36 times while he's still on the field. And that's when all the Boise fans went after him. Super irresponsible. But yeah, I think the rest of the clue fit. I think our only question was he undrafted? And I think there would be enough of those concerns where he would have gone undrafted. So we also checked in with LeGarrette Blount.
Well, both teams are receiving points. Indeed, the correct answer was LeGarrette Blount. He was undrafted in 2010. He agreed in principle to a contract with the 49ers and then changed his mind after meeting Jeff Fisher, which is something that not many people would say. He had 18 rushing touchdowns in 2016. And then, of course, like you mentioned, the punch that set him back for most of the 2009 season until roughly bowl time.
That also was irresponsible, by the way.
On to question number 3. Founded in 14, Magnuson and Hulkenberg, U.S. F1 team.
We'll check in.
All right. And the award goes to has checked in. And so let's see. Maybe you can drive my car. You can talk it out again.
How much F1 have you been watching, Mason?
He's so offended he took his camera off. He is just livid.
14. Is that around the time? Mason's not even here to talk to. So.
Hey, there he is.
There I am. Sorry. My F1 key got stuck, so I had to fix that.
Oh.
Anyway.
Do you?
No.
Do you remember? Do you know?
No. When you said "do you," I said no. That's it. That's all I got to ask.
I want to 2014. I think is around the time that Red Bull racing started. So that's the only in I'm going to have on this. I think that's around the time they're relatively new, and they've kind of moved up really quickly since they started.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
All right, we'll go with Red Bull.
All right, and the award goes to, what did you have?
You want me to take this one? Or?
Yeah, you can go ahead and take this one.
Yeah, I've been heavy into F1 for the last couple of seasons, and Red Bull is not an American team.
Did I see American on there?
It says U.S. F1 team.
Dang it! I'm sorry. I know it then.
There is only one U.S. F1 team.
Read the question.
And that would be, I do believe they also have a NASCAR team as well.
Yeah, they're right down the street from me.
Yeah, and that would be Haas. So Dan pulled an Eric Eid and didn't read the question fully. So yeah, Haas.
One team will be receiving points, and it's not the one who has a neighbor that is part of this team. It is Haas Racing.
I used to work at a school that is seriously half a mile from Haas, and to top that off, Red Bull is Verstappen, and I knew that. I don't know why Let's just move on from this, please.
And Red Bull's actually they've been around for considerably longer than 2014. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they. I think Magnuson took over because Mazepan was their driver, and then the whole
Marzipan.
That's what I was about to say.
They have entered 145 races since their inception. They have 2 poles, 1 fastest lap, and 0 victories, and also 0 podiums. So they have not even finished in a top 3.
They are kind of one of the main characters in Drive to Survive, though, because they keep getting in their own way and they keep having drama. And Nikita Mazepin was a mess.
Yeah.
Yes. You don't even have to like racing to like Drive to Survive.
No, you really don't. But
No,
it's
you
an
don't.
easy way to maybe get yourself interested in F1 because, they're characters, and like I don't even have like a rooting interest in any one of the drivers or teams. I just really enjoy watching.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. On to question number 4. This is a very special question number 4 that I wrote just for 2 people on this tonight. Champ in 69. Lakers and Eagles draftee. Way to go, David.
Oh.
This one, 3, 2, 1 it.
Mason, we don't need to check this in, do we?
I know what it is too. Yeah,
Matt, do you know who we're talking about here?
I don't actually.
So Dan, just check in and I'll
we'll
talk
check
out.
in. We'll check in.
All right. And the award goes to, you can talk it out.
So we it's been a long time since we've had this curse, but for a long time early on, we had a curse that when a person would get referenced on the show, like within a week or two, they would pass away.
Oh no.
Not often, usually older, but sometimes not so old. And we thought that curse had gone away until David had a question, which hasn't aired yet, I don't think. He had a question about one Bud Grant, who just passed away yesterday.
Yesterday, I believe.
Yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is all Bud Grant. So if you're cool with that, that's what we should check in.
I am cool with it.
All right, we're gonna check in with Bud Grant. Rest in peace.
All right, and I'm guessing maybe you can drive my car. You might have had a similar idea.
There's audio that exists and probably will make the show of me telling David, if you kill Bud Grant, I'm coming after you. Yeah, it's Bud Grant.
Both teams will be receiving points. Indeed, Bud. It was a good opportunity to read Bud's Wikipedia page for me yesterday. I was unaware that he had played 2 years with the Minneapolis Lakers, drafted by the Eagles, 4-time Grey Cup winner. And then also his son is the head coach at Eden Prairie High School, where he has 11 state titles since he took over in 1992.
They're pretty dominant, typically.
All right. After the first quarter, we have scores of, and the award goes to, with 100, and maybe you can drive my car with 75.
We wanted to let you know that we are on Patreon if you'd be interested in supporting us financially. Your contributions will be used to help us cover the costs that it takes to bring you the high-quality sports trivia you have come to expect from us. There's also some great perks that come with the Patreon membership to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, including bonus episodes and Benchwarmers swag. You can find us at patreon.com/benchwarmerstp. Thanks.
Today's second quarter will be 5-on-3.
5-on-3. For this quarter, there will be 3 categorized lists containing 5 items, where each item is worth 10 points. The teams will attempt to guess as many items as they can. However, if a team has an incorrect guess, they will receive 0 points for that list.
Okie dokie, artichoke. List number 1. The San Francisco Giants with the most home runs hit from the year 2000 until today.
We'll check in.
All right. Maybe you can drive my car has checked in. So, and the award goes to, you can talk it out.
Yeah, I think, 21st century Giants history is nice because you can just ignore like 2005 to 2009 because they were crap for all of those years and nobody played longer than like 18 months in a uniform. Bonds was the only real lock on this list. Some of the earlier guys like Jeff Kent or Rich Aurelia, I feel like didn't have the longevity to put up those numbers. So we kind of erred with I think we felt most comfortable about Buster Posey and Pablo Sandoval being on that list. And then we were also kicking around Hunter Pence, Brandon Crawford, and Brandon Belt. And I just think with kind of the years he was with the team and the kind of little extra power that he had, I thought Belt was the most likely of the 3 to be in the top 5. So we are locking in with Barry Bonds, Buster Posey, Pablo Sandoval, and Brandon Belt.
All right. Maybe you can drive my car.
Yeah, we were playing around with that list pretty much. The first 3 I sent were Bonds, Belt, and Posey, and Dan seemed to like those. Crawford and Sandoval were the next 2 on my list. We toyed with putting Crawford on there because he played there a long time, but ultimately we just went with the 3 of Bonds, Belt, and Posey.
Both teams will be receiving their points. There are 5 guys that are 30 home runs ahead of everybody else, and then it just starts dropping off really fast. Those 5 guys are indeed Barry Bonds, who's almost the next two combined with 317. Brandon Belt with 175 home runs. Buster Posey at number 3 with 158 home runs. Number 5 on the list, Pablo Sandoval with 135 home runs. And number 4 on this list was mentioned a couple of times but not checked in, Brandon Crawford with 139 home runs.
Mason, you had all
Had
five
them in
of them.
order.
Yeah.
In order, too. That's crazy. I wasn't even expecting that.
And then
wow.
the next name on that list, anybody want to take a guess? It's not Rich Aurelia, I'll give you that.
Hunter Pence?
No, he is
there?
number 8 on the list.
Okay. I kind of figured it might be a little bit lower.
Pedro Feliz.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Someone had to hit the home runs during those years.
There's a name I've not heard in a long time.
It goes Feliz, Aurelia, Pence, then Jeff Kent, and then number 10 on the list, Ray Durham.
Really?
Great giant.
Yes.
Great giant. He was another one of those in those.
How many did he hit in
He
that
had
time frame?
77.
I thought you were going to say 17.
Maybe. Close to it.
Number 44 on the list, tied with Andres Galarraga and Nick Hundley with 19 home runs, Madison Bumgarner.
Well,
That checks out.
Yep.
all right.
He led the league in home runs for a day. And I forget which, I think it was 14 maybe. He hit 2 home runs on opening day and was leading the league in home runs for about 24 hours.
I'm noting that for a later question.
There you go.
All right, on to list number 2. The top 5 golfers with the most career earnings in PGA Tour history.
Ooh.
Okay.
I will say there's no live trickery. I'm not trying to say if guys leave or whatever. These are people who played on the PGA.
You want to go with what we have?
Let's go with what we have, yeah. And
Okay.
the way it's been going, you probably got the last one. But let's,
I mean, that was at least for that first one. I don't know how
Yeah.
I even pulled that off. I still don't even know how to do that, but
all right,
All right.
we'll check in.
Right. Maybe you can drive my car. He has checked in, and the award goes to Talk It Out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so we got a bunch of names. Obviously, right away, Tiger and Phil, right? Like,
Mhm.
I think there's no doubt they're 1-2. And then we got a whole list of other guys that we discussed. I
went
know,
through-
Matt, if you want to talk about some of the ones you were throwing a bunch my way.
Yeah, so we tossed around some more recent names like, Rory or Dustin Johnson. We also tossed out some older names, Vijay Singh, Sergio Garcia, Couples, Kuchar, Furyk. And I think, past those tough 2, it was tough to decide. But I think we felt pretty good about going with Dustin Johnson as a third. So we checked in with those 3: Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson.
All right, and maybe you can drive my car.
Mason, does that sound familiar to you?
yeah, it's,
At all?
it's almost, we had pretty much all the same names. We had, pretty much the same conversation. So yeah, Woods, Mickelson, Dustin Johnson were the first 3 we kind of lashed on to. And then Dan sent over Vijay Singh. I kind of like that because I know he was a money leader, I think, for a couple of years. So it made sense that he would be up there. So we went with 4, going with Woods, Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, and Singh.
For the record, we left Jim Furyk off as the 5th one, but let's see how it goes.
Both teams will be receiving their points. So the list of the top 5 golfers in order. Well, we won't go in order, but number 1, obviously with a bullet, Tiger Woods. I've heard of him. Number 2, Phil Mickelson at $95 million. So Woods is $120 million. Phil May. That happens when you don't miss a cut for like a decade. Phil Mickelson, 95. Number 3 on the list with $75 million is Dustin Johnson. So him and Miss Gretzky can enjoy their time with all of that money. Number 5 on the list at $71.2 million is Mr. Vijay Singh. $300,000 behind the guy with the ugliest swing in PGA Tour history, Mr. Jim Furyk.
All right, Mason, we're going for it next time.
No, don't do that. I'm probably gonna bomb it.
Rory is really, really close, and the next time he wins a tournament, he will be a top 5 money winner. He is $1.2 million behind VJ. And then there's like a $10 million gap between him and Adam Scott, who's the next one on the list.
Oh,
Adam Scott, Justin Rose, Matt Kuchar also mentioned, number 9 on the list. Sergio Garcia, number 11 on the list. Ernie Els, number 14 on the list. And John Rahm right now, number 18 on the list, but the way PGA is paying players, might be number 1 on this list within a few years. On to list number 3. Name me the last 5 Oregon quarterbacks taken in the first round of the NFL draft.
we're going to check in.
And the award goes to, has checked in. Why do I keep raising my voice? Maybe you can drive my car. You guys can talk it out.
Okay.
All right.
So, he was 99. Achilles Smith was 99.
Right, because it's the Couch McNabb,
Right.
Achilles Smith. So it's got to be before 99. Now the question is, how far back does this go? Because I don't think we're missing anyone between Mariota, Herbert, and Harrington.
No. And I think Harrington was like 02.
Yeah, I knew it was early 2000 somewhere.
So Smith has to be there.
Right. And so now, is there anyone in the early 90s, 80s? I don't know how far back this goes. That's the thing. This could be.
Shoot, there was one. I don't know if I'm going to pull it out though.
Do you know what team this person played for?
A lot, I think he bounced around.
Okay. All right. Well, that doesn't help. Great. Good to know.
Oh, shoot. Okay. He had a name similar to another quarterback, at the same time.
Okay.
All
right. No, that doesn't. So when was he drafted?
Okay. I think I got it. I think it's Jim Miller and Jim Drunken Miller were the two. I think Jim Miller is going to be the last one on here, but he's like mid 80s. So was there anybody else that came between him and Achilles Smith?
I don't know. I'm not familiar too much with Jim Miller, so that doesn't really mean much to me.
Wait, no, it's not Jim Miller. It's not Jim Miller. Jim Miller was no. Forget him.
Oh,
no,
boy.
that's different. No, it's not him. It's not him. I don't have it, Mason.
Okay. It's got to be someone before that, because I mean the quarterbacks I'm thinking of from there, they were definitely not first round picks. So it's got.
All right, let's just go with the 4 then.
Those 4, yeah.
So we have to say who they were.
Yep. So it's Mariota, Herbert, Keely Smith, Harrington. That's what we're gonna go with.
Right. And the award goes to, what did you have?
Yeah, we had those same 4 straight away. I just made sure I didn't miss anybody in the middle. Then before Achilles Smith, it was like, I wasn't sure in terms of draft position, in terms of like a Danny O'Neill or a Bill Musgrave. But then Dan, as soon as you said Jim Miller, I'm pretty sure the 5th one's Chris Miller. We only locked in with the 4, but I actually, as soon as you said Jim Miller, I was like, you know what? I think it's Chris Miller. I think let's see if they get to it or not. Yeah, we checked in with those same 4 of Herbert, Mariota, Joey Harrington, and Achilles Smith.
Well, both teams will be receiving their points. The most recent to least recent of those 4, obviously, Herbert in 2020, Mariota in 2015, Joey Harrington in 2002, and Achilles Smith in 1999. And then in 1987, drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, it was Chris Miller. I was sort of freaking out that I was going to have to make a decision on whether or not to score you correctly if you were going to check in with Jim Miller or just Miller.
If they would have said Jim Miller, it would have been wrong.
If we said Jim Miller, that's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't know if we would have.
But no, I remember Jim. It wasn't Jim Miller. I mean, I know that. So
it's the cautionary tale for Tua. He was a Pro Bowler in 1991 and then suffered 5 concussions in 14 months. and left the league for the first time. Then he came back and got another concussion and retired. And so it's just kind of a sad story, but he went on to coach a bunch of high schools in and around the Portland and Eugene area, where he is still a coach at West Lynn High School.
So, but Tua only had one concussion, right? The other was a back injury, right?
Allegedly.
The back injury where his head bounced off of
Yes, the back of his head injury. At the end of the second quarter, we have a score of Maybe You Can Drive My Car with 185, and the award goes to with 210.
There's the and.
I didn't know a way around it. I just ran into the double and wall.
Just lean into it.
Yeah. That brings us to halftime.
It is now time for the halftime show. There will be 3 entertainment questions pertaining to sports, with each question worth 25 points. Music. 70s
please,
music.
Please.
Sorry,
80s works
sorry
too.
to disappoint.
60s work.
It's not movies. It's television.
Oh. All right, Mason, I'll see you.
All right.
Okay. I am going to give you a list of the names of actors and excuse me. I'm going to start that over because that sentence was just a mess. All right.
It started with "and," which was really weird.
It's the double "and" that really it's got my tongue all upside down. All right. I am going to list actors in a show and the year that show was on television. I'm going to leave out the main character or the top billed actor. We'd like you to name the actor and the show. So
you want us to name the top billed actor,
and
yes,
the show?
Top billed actor and the show.
Got
These will become painfully obvious.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We shall see. Okay, question number 1. Copy it here. Question number 1. Phil Dunster, Jeremy Swift, Juno Temple, Brendan Hunt, and Brett Goldstein, 2020 to present.
This is $25 I owe Josh. Hold on.
What?
No, it's who. Mason, that's who.
That's why I didn't say that. I said what?
Agreed.
I don't want to pay the money.
We can check in.
And the award goes to, it's checked in, so maybe you can drive my car. You can talk it out.
Seriously,
Supposed to
Mason,
have this?
you don't know this? I thought you might.
Who are these people?
This is
I have no idea.
It's Ted Lasso. It's Jason Sudeikis.
Okay, I watched the 2 free episodes on a plane, and that's all I've seen of this show. The first 2 episodes were free on a plane. That's all I've seen of this show.
Okay.
So I've never heard of these people. I couldn't tell you any of who these people play. No idea.
To be fair, Mason, only one name gave it to me out of this bunch.
Brett Goldstein.
I'm not sure I know who the other ones
Juno
play
Temple.
on the show, but
I know Juno Temple.
Yeah. Okay. And the award goes to, what did you have?
Same thing. Ted Lasso. I think Brett Goldstein definitely gave it away, but yeah, Juno Temple was the first one where I went, oh, I think this is Ted Lasso.
And the actor, obviously.
Oh, and Jason Sudeikis.
Okay. All right. Both teams are receiving points. Indeed. It is Jason Sudeikis and Ted Lasso. And my flavor text is season 3 starts this week. Yay. Well, by the time this airs, season 3 will have started many weeks ago, but in real time.
We'll rush it.
Yeah.
We'll rush this to be out on Tuesday.
All right. Which rolls us nicely into question number 2. The aforementioned Jason Sudeikis, Will Ferrell, Craig Robinson, Katie Mixon, and Steve Little from 2009 to 2013.
Good, we're now down to $5. Wow, I clearly have not watched TV at all. Do I even know what a television is at this point? I know these people. I just don't. I can't think of anything connecting them.
So I will add a caveat in here because it's a slightly different from the first to second question, but just because they're on the list doesn't mean they were in every episode, quite like the other ones. So These are people who have all appeared on this show in handfuls of episodes.
Matt, you want to go with that?
Yeah, I think that's the best we're going to do.
Okay. We'll check in.
All right, and the award goes to has checked in, so maybe you can drive my car. You can tuck it out.
I just had a thought on Will Ferrell, and I'm pretty sure Steve Little was in it. I think this might be Eastbound and Down with Danny
Never
McBride.
seen it. Sure.
I watched it. I watched it one time through, like around 2013. So,
Yeah, well, that's the name of the show that I know nothing about. So I trust you wholeheartedly.
well, I wouldn't trust me, but it makes sense that would be it. So we'll check in Eastbound and Down with and Danny McBride.
Right.
Not Danny McBride. Yeah. Yes. Is that dang it?
You already checked in.
Yeah, we checked in, but
Okay. All right. Well, while you have your crisis of confidence, I will kick it to the other team for their answer.
Jeez.
All right. Well, Dan, if you're wrong, we're both wrong because we also checked in with Danny McBride in Eastbound and Down. Similarly, I watched it once and the timeline fits and just the vibe of those actors. They all feel like they would have had some sort of small, like, I don't remember the show at all, but like it just feels right on vibes. And that's the best we got.
And Mason, don't feel too bad because I'm in the exact same place with you for this one.
Yeah,
Well,
give us the answer, and then I'll tell you why I was having that.
50% of the players need to up their TV watching, but the other 50% were correct. It was Danny McBride and Eastbound and Down.
Real quick, I just got a comment to what you said there, Eric. I think my wife would disagree with you that I need to up the television I'm watching. I watch a ton of television.
Right,
I
fair.
just haven't seen Eastbound and Down.
For a quick second there, Danny McBride and Danny Masterson crossed in my head, and I was like, "No, not that '70s guy. No,
They are
It's
not
not
the
it.
same guy."
It's $10
Very
more.
much not the same. Yeah.
There was some video going around that like mashed up interviews of Patrick Mahomes and Danny
Yes.
McBride as Kenny Powers, and they have the exact same accent. It's incredible.
There is one of those deep fake videos where they have put Danny McBride's face on Patrick Mahomes during that, and it's indiscernible. Like it is exactly the exact same person.
Yeah, if you watch it without looking at the screen, you can't tell when they switch back from a Patrick Mahomes interview to a clip from Eastbound and Down.
He's like, we had the Chainsmokers show up and play in the hotel. Yeah. So Sudeikis plays this full throttle, like he's Danny McBride's catcher in the show. And my favorite scene from the entire series is after, spoiler alert, Sudeikis dies. Danny McBride or Kenny Powers shows up at the funeral with a CD boombox playing Far Behind by Candlebox and sort of trying to one up him while he's dead in front of the family. It is the most cringe, awesome, hilarious scene in the entire show. So, all right, question number 3: Donovan W. Carter, John David Washington, numerous NFL players, including Terrell Suggs for 8 episodes, and Rob Corddry, 2015 through 2019.
We will check in.
Right, and the award goes to, has checked in, so maybe you can drive my car. You can talk it out.
Mason, I don't know any of this for sure. I don't know any of those names except for Rob Corddry, but and I don't know if he's in this. I'm just going based on the years and based on the fact that we were looking at HBO shows here. I think this might be Ballers with Dwayne Johnson.
Okay. The only insight I have additionally to that, I know who John David Washington is. Because that's Denzel's son.
Oh, okay.
Does that help you in any way?
It doesn't help, but it doesn't. It
Okay.
definitely doesn't hurt.
And I've heard Rob Corddry only on this podcast. So that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know who Donovan W. Carter is. At least know who Terrell Suggs is. I can tell you stuff about him. That's about the only
Mhm.
person I've been able to say any information about for this question. But
Did you know Terrell Suggs was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota?
of course he was.
Inadvertent.
I didn't know that actually.
Too much Minnesota. Anyway, Sure, if you want to go with that, that's fine.
Right. Let's go with it. We're going Ballers and Dwayne Johnson.
Hey. And the award goes to, what did you have?
Yeah, we checked in with the same answer. I want to say I watched season 1 of this. Rob Corddry's like a rival agent to Dwayne Johnson's character. And I believe John David Washington is like some sort of he has like a young running back role on the team. The like stereotypical mercurial football player kind of a vibe to his character. So yeah, we also checked in with Ballers and Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Both teams are receiving points. It is indeed Rock the Dwayne Johnson, which is what I will call him forever now, and Ballers, a Mark Wahlberg production, who apparently stated that Roger Goodell and various owners tried to prevent their players from coming on because it was just such a risque show. But they did end up with, surprise, Antonio Brown, Terrell Suggs for 8 episodes, OBJ, Mark Schlereth, and Larry Zonka even made some appearances.
Yeah, I didn't stand a chance that round because my parents had cable, and so they never had HBO at any point that I'm aware of. So, yeah, that didn't help either.
I have to know way more in advance that Mason is going to be on the show, so I can write a halftime.
It's okay. It's okay. No, it's fine. You
just have to go.
You don't have to cater to me. It's fine.
If you want to, all you gotta do is
sports.
go 60s, 70s music, right? And then
yeah, but it has to have sports references in it. You're not gonna find.
No, it doesn't have to have sports references.
Oh yeah, not anymore. Sorry, because of Eid. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, sorry. Okay. We've only had one person really abide by that.
Only one person has been doing. Whenever I listen to a show that he hosts, I'm always like, "What? How does this have to do with sports?" And then like, it's the third question when I realize he's taking advantage of the change.
Yeah,
he bullied us into it.
All right. After halftime, we have scores of, and the award goes to, with 285, and maybe you can drive my car with 260. Now on to the second half.
We'd like to take a minute to invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at BenchwarmersTP. We also have a Facebook group for fans of the pod called The Bench. Join us there to comment on the latest episodes and share cool sports facts and trivia. If you'd be willing to rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher, we'd greatly appreciate the support so that other people may find this podcast. Thanks.
Today's third quarter will be David versus Goliath.
David versus Goliath. This quarter will consist of 3 pairs of questions, one easier, David, and one harder, Goliath. After hearing both questions, the teams will pick one of the 2 questions to answer, either David or Goliath. Each David question is worth 25 points, and each Goliath question is worth 50 points.
Today we're going to talk about trophies. Who doesn't love a trophy? You're all getting a participation one just for showing up today. It's a virtual one that I handed out in my brain, but consider this. I do a lot for you guys. All right, so I'm going to give you the name of the trophy and the sport, and I would like you to give me the team or teams. The teams. I will tell you there's one that has more than 2 teams that compete for it or competed. There is one instance where it is no longer competed. But if you'd like me to, I can bring that up. But okie dokie. Well, let's start with the first one that'll make a lot of sense as we get going. All right, question number 1. What teams compete for the golden egg in college football? Question number 2, Goliath. What 4 teams compete for the bean pot in college hockey?
Okay. Hey.
We can check in.
Okay.
Maybe you can drive my car. Has checked in, and the award goes to. You can talk it out.
I'm trying to think on the Goliath one here.
Yeah, same. Feeling pretty confident the egg is of the Egg Bowl, being Ole Miss, Mississippi State. And then the bean, the bean pot would be like all of those Boston area hockey teams, right?
Yeah. So you have BU, you got Boston
Boston
College. Like Harvard's in there, and I'm just trying to think what the fourth one is. I think it might be Northeastern.
Okay.
Being from Minnesota, we pay attention to some college hockey stuff. So
Sure.
those are kind of
more than I got. I just start naming schools in the Boston area.
I'd say I'm like 75% on that.
If you're feeling confident on it, I say let's swing for it.
All right. We're going to go with the Goliath with Boston University, Boston College, Harvard, and Northeastern.
All right. And maybe you can drive my car. What'd you have?
We also went with the Goliath of Harvard, Boston University, Boston College. And then it's where Mikey went to school, Bunker Hills Community College. No, it's not. It's Northeastern.
Well, since it was mentioned, but the David answer of the Golden Egg is indeed in the Egg Bowl between Ole Miss and Mississippi State. The Bean Pot is a 4-team tournament held every year since 1952 between Boston University, Boston College, Harvard, and Berklee College of Music. No, I'm just kidding. It is Northeastern as the fourth quote. So both teams are receiving points. 2 facts about these trophies. Let's see. Since its inception in 1952, none of the 4 participants in the tournament has won an NCAA championship without first winning the Bean Pot. And the Egg Bowl, my favorite Egg Bowl thing that I found when I was looking at this earlier, in a muddy 1907 contest, Ole Miss head coach Frank Mason brought out whiskey-laced coffee in an attempt to warm up his players. It backfired. They lost 15-0, and he never coached another game for Ole Miss. So let that be a lesson to all you up-and-coming coaches. Whiskey-laced coffee, not a good career move.
I'm not giving my whiskey to players.
It's going to be selfish with your whiskey, kids.
And it only makes you feel like you're warm. It actually does the exact opposite. Just saying. Yeah.
The next 2 will be Major League Baseball trophies. Question number 2, David. What 2 teams compete for the prestigious Silver Boot? Question number 2, Goliath. What teams competed for the Pearson Cup?
Okay, I'm checking.
Maybe you can drive my car. It's checked in. And the award goes to, can talk it out.
So for the Goliath, you said they used to play for it?
I
Right? What
did.
2 teams used to play for it? Is that what you said?
That is what I said.
Okay. So they either don't play for it because they stopped doing this, or one of the teams is no longer in a place that would be viable for it. Would be my thought. I have nothing on it other than trying to decipher his sort of clue-ish in there.
Right.
So the only thing that could come to mind could be that this was a Canadian thing, maybe, that would have been the Blue Jays and the Expos, and then it stopped when the Expos moved to Washington. But I have nothing else on it. I can't think of any other thing, but I like I said, I'm just kind of throwing out possible ideas.
That was kind of where my mind went too, but I was also thinking about like how many years were the Expos around with interleague play, where they would have like played in the regular season every year.
That's a fair point.
I mean, not to say they didn't just do it for 7 years and then stop it or whatever. I don't have both of them are just like trying to suss it out. My thought on the Silver Boot would be maybe it's like a Texas thing. So like Rangers, Astros.
More than likely that'll be what it is, because Walling is though half of his heart is in Kansas City for fandoms. His initial heart is in Texas. So
right.
That would not
deep in the
me.
heart of Texas.
I was hoping you'd get there.
But yeah, I guess I think that one I feel more confident in. Like I said, the other I'm just trying. Now you got me thinking that I don't know. like I said, I don't have anything real strong on that. I just was trying to think of a reason that two teams would play and then it stopped for some reason.
I that's not, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the right answer. I could go either way on it. I could take a swing with Expos, Blue Jays, or we could play it safe with the answer that we're a little more sure on.
I'm just trying to think if there's any other reason there'd be two teams that would have stopped playing for some trophy. Like,
right? Should we just go with the David and then?
Yeah, that one I feel at least
have
like
regrets
that
later.
one makes the most sense. The other is just kind of trying to throw some logic to it, but
yeah.
All right, so we'll check in with the David with the Astros and the Rangers.
Maybe you can drive my car. What did you check in with?
Yeah, so I had a vague recollection of this as far as I remember hearing Pearson come before. My first thought, because Pearson, I can't think of many famous people named Pearson, but I thought of one right off the bat, and it started to make sense. I think this might be named after Lester Pearson, who was for I don't know how long, but he was a prime minister of Canada. And so it made sense based on the fact he said it was competed for, that this is like Josh was saying, it had to be either a team that moved or a team that didn't exist, whatever the case may be. So I jumped on Toronto and Montreal right away, and Dan liked it when I kind of explained the logic out of that.
And then as we thought about it, because when Matt had said, how long could they have played for this because there was no interleague play, I bet you they had exhibition games before this all started. I mean, before the split happened. So if this is right, I think that's probably got to be how it worked. So yeah.
Yeah, we checked in Goliath with Toronto and Montreal.
Well, the David answer, indeed, separated by I-45 and I-20 or 30, depending on which way you take, the Texas Rangers and Houston Astros, who first met in regular play in 2001. Fun fact. The Goliath answer. So for those of you keeping score at home, things Mason doesn't know, people in Ted Lasso, things Mason does know, 5-year Prime Ministers of Canada. The correct answer, Toronto Blue Jays and Montreal Expos.
Very nice.
Yeah, I wish I would have known a little bit about Prime Ministers of Canada. That would have helped.
That came in handy there, didn't it?
It cemented that, because I was thinking down that track like Josh was saying, like teams, and I was going through all the current teams, and I hit Toronto. I was like, oh, Toronto, Canada, Pearson all kind of clicked right away when I landed on it. So
it was originally a fundraiser for minor league baseball in Canada. In later years, it was incorporated in the interleague schedule, and the last time it was played was in Puerto Rico, very fittingly.
Sure.
That's very fitting.
Yeah. Yes, the last game was at Hiram Berthorn in San Juan, Puerto Rico on July 4th, 2004.
It was a home game for Montreal, too.
It was, yeah. Question number 3, David. I'm tired of stuff on this side of the pond. Tell me who competes for the Ashes in cricket. Question number 2, Goliath. Tell me who competes for the Bledisloe Cup in rugby.
Let's see what that is.
The Bledisloe? Okay.
Is that Drew Bledsoe misspelled?
Yeah, it's Drew Bledsoe.
Drew Bledisloe. Drew Bledsoe after about 4 beers.
Yeah, Drew Bledsoe.
Drew Bledisloe. No real reason at all, but are there any Canadian prime ministers named Bledisloe?
I don't.
Mason, you're our expert on here.
I mean, not that I can name them all, but I can recognize Canadian prime ministers. Can I name them off the top of my head? Probably not. But he was one in like the 60s, 70s, I think, which would make sense when they would have started doing it. But
well, if the South Park movie is to be believed, killing the Canadian prime minister will open the gates of hell, and Satan and everything will come up.
Yeah, I don't know if any have been assassinated, but it's a whole different story.
We'll check in.
And the award goes to has checked in, so maybe you can drive my car. Can talk it out.
So this is going to be what? Washington State and the New England Patriots.
Yes.
And the Cowboys. It's a 3-way.
And the Cowboys. Yeah, there's 3 teams involved in this. Okay, so the Ashes is England and Australia.
Australia. Yeah.
The only in that I have on Bledisloe Cup is I know that the All Blacks and Australia have a big rivalry. I mean, that's all I know.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, this very well could be New Zealand and Australia.
Right.
Is that what it is? Who knows? I mean, South Africa could be involved in here. I know they have a big rivalry too.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a name I've just vaguely heard of, but I couldn't even begin to place anything about it. So I don't know if it's worth the risk because we're tied at this point. So
yeah,
I don't know how if it's strong enough for you to take a chance on it.
I'm gonna let your gut take us on
Oh.
this one because your gut's been good so far.
Yeah, except halftime. But other than that, I like it. I just, man.
I don't like it.
I
don't like it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Do you want to just
Right.
take the David? I don't know.
All
I
right,
feel like
we'll take the David of the Ashes with England and Australia.
And the award goes to, what did you have?
Very similar stuff. Pretty quickly, I sent over to Matt that the Ashes is England and Australia. And when it came to rugby, I was like, well, I know that Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa are really good, and they have storied rivalries. And I wouldn't have been able to. I mean, obviously, you have the proximity of New Zealand and Australia, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not New Zealand and South Africa or South Africa and and Australia. So I wouldn't have been able to decipher which two of those three, and there could even be another team, but I was like, those are the big three that I think of. So we also went with the David for the Ashes being England and Australia.
The trophy named in 1882 after a mock death notice appeared in Australia claiming English cricket had died and the body would be cremated and the ashes taken to Australia. It is England and Australia, the Ashes in cricket. The Bledisloe Cup, the second oldest contested cup in rugby union. The biggest and longest rivalry is England and Scotland. That is the Calcutta Cup, and it's been contested since the 1800s. The next, Australia and New Zealand play for the Bledisloe Cup.
Sorry, Dan.
We had the same reason to go for that as they did, and
Yes.
So South Africa doesn't have they don't have much of it. Seems like there's only two really storied rugby trophies. The Calcutta Cup, which is England, Scotland, and then this one, which is Australia, New Zealand. Flip a coin. Then South Africa has a few, but they've only been around since like the early 2000s. It is dominated by New Zealand. Dominated. They have a 110, 37, and 7 record.
It doesn't surprise me. The All Blacks are pretty dominant.
I mean, I wouldn't want to win if someone shouted a haka in my face before a game either.
That's what we should have done, Mason, before we started.
yeah. You guys, I'm doing a haka before the next game I play in.
I'm not. That would not be okay for us to do.
I would be out of breath.
Well,
and
a little appropriation there.
Yeah, we don't need to. Yeah.
Fair point. All right, well, we got ourselves a barn burner here at the end of the third quarter. It is all knotted up at 385.
Get a tiebreaker figured out in case we need it?
Yes, I do, and I am so excited. I've been so excited about this tiebreaker since I found it the other day.
Let's all bet zero. And
please bet
I
zero.
don't know. That makes me nervous. If he's excited about it, I don't think I want it.
David probably looked this up, so I would not be happy. So I didn't send it to him, but I'm very excited about this tiebreaker.
All right, never mind. We're wagering now.
All right. That brings us to the fourth quarter.
The fourth quarter, known as Put Your Fours Up. This quarter consists of 4 categorized questions that teams will wager up to 100 points each, not to exceed their current point total.
Categories for today are as follows. Question number 1, a petit déjeuner in golf terminology. Question number 2, potent potables in college football rivalries. Question number 3, let it snow in Winter Olympics. And question number 4, an album cover in sports and entertainment. Dan, I can't hold it any longer. Oh man, I thought I could make it through, but Dan is dying laughing. Oh man.
Nobody wants to hear about your anal bum covers.
That's right.
Sorry, I could not figure out a way to make French flicks work for.
You're gonna post
Yeah,
those into the chat.
Yeah. And the last one was sports and entertainment. Sports.
I'll take Ape Tit for 200.
It's now time for the team to place their wagers. Now that the wagers are in, on to the questions. Question number 1 in a petit déjeuner. What is the euphemism for a mulligan taken on the first tee shot of a round, especially, and somewhat appropriately, a morning round?
We will check in.
I don't know why.
Huh.
Right. And the award goes to has checked in, so maybe you can drive my car. Talk it out.
I've never heard of that before, but if the way things have been jumping into your head today, Mason, I wouldn't doubt it.
Well, it helps my brother-in-law plays golf. I don't even know if he's used this term, but because when he said the time early in the morning, something between that. I feel like breakfast ball is a thing, but I might be making this up. I mean,
you're making up breakfast ball.
I don't know.
I don't know what to do.
I don't think it is, but it's something I've heard of. I just don't know if it's. But appropriately during a morning round, it's got to be something related to either time of day or something like that. But that's something that just pops out at me. I have no idea why.
I don't know this at all. So if you've got a leaning on this, the points are in already. I mean, we have to answer something. So,
I mean, you don't have to.
I mean, but you kind of have to. I don't know. That's the best I can do. So,
all right, we're going to check in. We're going to check in breakfast ball then.
400 points. All right. And the award goes to, what did you have?
This was, if Mason made up the term breakfast ball, then he somehow shot it over to me. This is a thing, especially if you wake up hungover and late for an 8 o'clock tea time and you don't have a chance to hit any before. And then also a petit déjeuner is a little lunch. So it would make sense that the name of a meal would be in the term. So we checked in with breakfast ball.
Both teams are receiving their points, and one of them picked up on my clue. Yay! It is
that's French. We'll just skip it.
It is a breakfast ball, and yours truly has taken his fair share of them.
Sometimes you have seconds on the breakfast ball. Why not?
Yeah, I go back for quite a few, depending on how many people are waiting behind me.
It's a brunch ball.
Yes. By the time I'm done, yes. Question number 2, potent potables. What 2 college football teams from neighboring states competed for the Bourbon Barrel Trophy? The series began in 1893 and was last contested in 2005, although the trophy itself was retired in 1999.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll check in.
Maybe you can drive my car has checked in. So, and the award goes to, can talk it out.
Yeah. I think Bourbon Barrel goes straight to Kentucky.
Yes. So whether it's, that's why my initial thought is, University of Kentucky. But you're right, it could be like Louisville. And obviously if it hasn't been played since 2005, so if it's Kentucky, it'll be a non-SEC team.
Right.
So it wouldn't be like Tennessee.
Right. But it could be like, it's all it says is like in neighboring states, right? It doesn't have to be a state school.
It doesn't say, it just says neighboring states, right?
Okay. So
right.
It could be like Kentucky, Memphis, or Kentucky. My thought was Cincinnati is like right across the river from Kentucky. on the north side. So maybe, Cincinnati, Louisville, or Cincinnati, Kentucky. What other states border Kentucky?
Indiana.
There are a lot of options here.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying.
So we're getting into. Yeah, the only reason I kind of jumped from Kentucky over to Louisville in my thinking was that they did change conferences in there somewhere. I don't remember what year though. So it might have been like an old Big East rivalry that got thrown out.
Is there another Big East that would have been bordering?
Yeah, I think that's why, like, of anything, I feel strongest about Louisville, Cincinnati, just because Ohio and Kentucky have the Ohio River right in the middle of them, and they used to be in the Big East together, right? And then Cincinnati's in the American now.
Was Cincinnati in the Big East?
Were they in the Big?
I don't know if I remember them being Big East. I mean, they could be. There have been such movement through the last, 20 or so years.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I have to admit, like, that feels like one that would be a pretty
deep cut.
Like, I would think they would almost schedule that one often. Like, I would think they've played since 2005, Cincy and Louisville, just due to proximity and probably a rivalry.
I don't know. That's the only thing that feels firm-ish for me, but there's a lot out there.
Yeah, I just have a feeling they like, my brain just thinks they would have played more recently than 2005.
Sure.
Just being that close. I think they probably have a rivalry just from proximity. I mean, you could do Kentucky, Indiana, you could do Kentucky, Ohio State, but I don't think Ohio State and Kentucky, I know a lot of the Ohio State. Like, I'm a Big Ten guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who Indiana has had. Like, they've always been, like, for football, they've always been, for the most part, pretty bad. So they easily could have played Kentucky on a regular basis for a while as a non-conference game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we can go with that if you're that sounds like it's got some legs to it, I think. Sure.
All right. So we will check in with Kentucky, Indiana for 100.
All right. And God, it's been so long, I forgot your name. Maybe you can drive my car? ? What did you check in with?
Mason, we didn't even consider, like, schools that weren't state schools.
Yeah, that's a
we
little
didn't even
concerning.
consider that.
No.
We went right to Kentucky and then just went right to state schools around Kentucky that were not part of the SEC. We came up with OSU, Indiana, and West Virginia. I suppose Illinois, maybe, but that they barely border Kentucky. And kind of like what you guys did, Josh, we finally settled, of the ones that we said, we finally settled on Indiana. That sounded best. So we also said Indiana and Kentucky for, I believe, 100, right?
Yep.
Well, one state is the biggest producer of bourbon and whiskey in the country. The other is one of the biggest sources of the distillate for bourbon and whatnot. The correct answer is Indiana, Kentucky. Well done to both teams.
Nice.
It was annually from 1987 until 2005. They retired the trophy in '99. I think a Kentucky player had an alcohol-related death, and so they said, "That's it. We're not going to do this anymore." But Indiana leads the series 18-17-1, and the only tie was the first time they played it.
Because the name of the trophy is the reason.
Look, I didn't make the rules. I just report the news. Question number 3 in Let It Snow. Which Winter Olympics was the first to utilize artificial snow? Organizers were in need of a miracle a month before the game, so they loaded dump trucks full of artificial snow that had to be unloaded by hand to create a 25-kilometer course.
You good with that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. We're going to check in.
Oh.
All right. Maybe You Can Drive My Car has checked in. So, and the winner is, and the winner is, and the winners are, and the winner who?
In the winter.
Y'all, you can talk it out. And the award goes to you. That's right.
Yeah, Josh, you said this seemed familiar to you, and then I picked up a clue in the question where I think you're right.
Oh, okay. I guess oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
That's a big clue once you. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I know it might be your flavor text, but I'm going to just steal it or say it that I know that the 2022 Beijing Olympics is the first one to use all artificial snow for the full Winter Olympics. And I think within seeing that article, I kind of went down a rabbit hole in the past because I love the Olympics. And I do believe this was the 1980 Lake Placid Winter Olympics, where, yes, the miracle on ice happened. So that's what we're checking in with for 100.
All right. And Maybe You Can Drive My Car. What did you have?
Yeah, I didn't really have much on that. Dan said that China was the first, or they did it recently, at least. So we had that kind of fresh in our mind. I had to think about a time that was recent enough to have had the invention of artificial snow, and also a place that wouldn't have had enough snowfall to need this. And I was reading the question again, and I picked up on the word miracle. So I was just like, okay, miracles in the question, is this 1980? So we went right with that. So we checked in with the 1980 Olympics for 85.
Hey, we found the 85.
Hey,
Found the 85.
ladies and gentlemen, we have found the 85. Both teams will be receiving their points. The correct answer was the 1980 Olympics in Lake Placid. That was, I believe, the 12th Winter Olympiad, for those of you scoring at home. And indeed, the clue of the miracle was picked up on by both teams. This sounded awful. They literally laid a 25-kilometer course by hand. They would put artificial snow in these trucks. It would freeze overnight, and then they couldn't just dump it. They just had to pull it off. And they said, a week out, the guy was like, I didn't think they were going to make it, and lo and behold, they did. And then I think it actually ended up snowing a bunch once the Olympiad started. So I might have read the same article you did, Josh. There was one about all the different times that they have used artificial, or had to use artificial snow in a panic. I think Vancouver even had a heat swing right before that Olympics. All right. Well, I spoke too soon last question. Now we are tied, as we have found the 85. Which brings us to question number 4, which is an album cover. What beloved TV character appeared on the cover of the June 6th, 1977 issue of Sports Illustrated alongside the reigning AL Rookie of the Year? The player was coming off a year he won 19 games and led the MLB in ERA. The character would spend 1977 visiting Hawaii, losing a contest, and identifying sounds with his eyes closed, amongst many other episodes.
I'm good with that. Should we check that in?
Yeah, let's check it in.
We will check in.
All right. And the award goes to has checked in. So Maybe You Can Drive My Car. You can talk it out.
Hey.
All right, Dan. I have a strong scent on this question.
Okay.
So I'm almost certain that the reigning AL Rookie of the Year for that year would have been Mark Fidrich. And I have a strange recollection of him with Big Bird on the cover of Sports History. I'm almost certain I've seen this because I wrote a question about Mark Fidrich a long, long time ago in this podcast, and I remember seeing that cover and something. So I think it has to be. And I mean, obviously, with the character being Big Bird, that all those things are very possible among many episodes because Sesame Street's, daily. So it's asking for the TV character, so it's Big Bird.
It's got to be that. Yeah, I've
Has to
seen
be.
that. I've
I
seen
remember
that picture. Yeah,
I think it's like, isn't it like Big Bird and Mark are like they're hugging or like one's carrying the other? I forgot what the situation was,
it'd
but
be really weird if Mark Fidrich was carrying Big Bird. That
no, I think it was. I'm saying the
really
other way
weird.
around. But yes. Yeah, I think it has to be. So
Yeah, I've seen that picture. That's got to be it. Yeah.
okay, so we're gonna check in with Big Bird as a TV character for 100.
Right. And I think I'm going to throw this one over to Matt specifically to answer. So, Matt?
As someone with a deep and abiding love for Big Bird, as he was my final Jeopardy answer that won me a large sum of money. Yeah, this was particularly with the, as soon as I heard the Rookie of the Year in 19 games, my brain went to Mark Fidrich as well. Yeah, this is the big guy himself, Big Bird.
Both teams are receiving their points. I did a little Jeopardy archive research before this game, and I knew I was going to make Big Bird work as the last question of the game. And shout out to David for coming up with the idea that he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated with Mark Fidrich. And it's nice. Mark Fidrich in his windup and Big Bird kind of standing behind him with his arms out.
Holding Mark Fidrich.
Holding Mark Fidrich.
They were dancing.
Yeah, Big Bird has definitely become my brand now. So anytime anyone buys you gifts, they're like, he's on my pop socket on my phone.
Oh, nice.
He's I got like pins and socks and the whole deal. So,
well, we do have a tie. Hooray! Both teams received their points, and both teams are currently tied with 770 points. And so I actually prepared for this game, believe it or not, and have a tiebreaker. Closest to the pin, poetically. In 1986, Golf Digest held a contest to determine America's worst avid golfer. The winner was named Angelo Spagnolo. He shot a 257 on the Pete Dye course. How many strokes did it take him to complete the famous 17th hole at TPC Sawgrass?
Oh. You want to go with that?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. We're going to check in.
All right. After mathing, Maybe You Can Drive My Car has checked it. And the award goes to, can talk it out for one last time.
Yeah, I mean, Josh did the math and did some averages on this. Which I think does help of doing the like,
like if the other holes he roughly average similar scores, because obviously this one is going to be a ridiculous number, right? Like some, like you were saying, 50 or something, or 50 plus, like, and with it being the island, right? The island green. Yeah, he could have easily put many dozens of balls into the water if he's a bad golfer.
Right. Just imagining him just shanking him into the water over and over and over again.
So, like I said, I just worked up if he averaged 10 on the other 17, he would have an 87 on that hole. If he averaged 11 on the others, it'd be 70. If he averaged 12 on the others, it'd be 53. So 87 feels crazy.
That feels like a lot. I'm thinking somewhere around that 70 number, I think feels ridiculous, but also isn't outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming this is like counting penalty strokes. So he's hitting like, what, 30 in the water?
Right. You're like right. There have to be taking penalty strokes into account for this.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would sit there and wait for him to maybe. So
Roy McAvoy this thing.
Yeah.
Ball.
Yeah, so I guess somewhere around that like 70 number.
Do you want to say 70? Do you want to go a little more, a little less?
I could go either way. Or let's just hit 70 on the nose and see.
All right. We're going to check in with shooting 70 on hole 17.
Right. And if you also said 70, I'm out of questions.
No.
You might just have to end
we did not. But
sorry.
this is going to be interesting.
Sorry, I was trying to hold it in. But anyway.
There's a number right around 70 that would be apropos for this podcast.
We could have made friends with Marcus.
We did make friends with Marcus.
No, I'm saying Matt could, with his Oregon ties, we could have.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
build
it's
a bridge.
didn't if they said.
So we went one stroke lower.
We mathed
70.
it the same way, pretty close to what you mathed. Yeah. So we figured. Well, I threw out 40 first, and Dan was like, "No," and then that's when I threw out that number. I was going to try to meet in the middle, but it didn't work out. So Dan liked the number we chose. So yeah, we went
69.
Nice.
Hopefully it's lower. That helps for us if it's lower.
Angelo went out to a blistering 99 on the front 9 holes, a solid 63 over par on the front 9. He walked into the 17th hole with 169 strokes on his scorecard already.
Oh no!
Put 27 in the water, putted his way up the walkway, and then 3-putted the green for a 66.
So what did you say? His front 9 was 99.
He shot a 99 on the front.
So he averaged 11.
He did.
Hey,
He shot
on the front 9. Yeah. All
he
right.
shot a 66 on the 17th and followed it up with a 22 on the 18th for a grand total score of 257.
Well, can't feel bad about losing on a closest to the pin like that. That's
You said he putted up the bridge.
Putted up the bridge.
That's the only way he's getting it there. Is just to put it up the bridge.
Apparently, they tried to get him to do that for a while, and he ran out of balls. They brought him range balls, and he kept hitting balls into the water because he said, that's not how you play this hole," until his son started booing him. So he putted up the walkway.
Get this bum out of here.
So yes, it's a pretty funny article to read. Just look up. It's Angelo Spagnolo. 66 strokes on the 17th hole.
That's hilarious.
Progress. Okay, and the award goes to, finishes with 770 points, but our clipboard captains of the game receiving the prestigious Joey Harrington Award with 770 plus. I guess I give you a point. 771. How's that? Maybe you can drive my car? Applause sounder. All right. Matt, thank you again for joining us. Thank you for being a member of our Patreon. Anything you want to say before we call it a night?
Just thanks for having me on. It's a great set of questions. It's great to get a chance to put some faces with names, and hopefully I'll be back down the road.
You are
Absolutely
always
come
welcome.
back.
Yes. This was a blast having you on. And I can't guarantee that the next one will have Big Bird as the answer to the last question, but
that's okay.
I did what I could.
I lost Jeopardy on a Shakespeare question, and I don't think that's going to end.
That's
anywhere
a tough
near
one.
this podcast.
I did not want to rip that Band-Aid off. I thought, let's go with a happy Jeopardy memory.
Yeah.
We mentioned Billy Shakes not too long ago, didn't we?
Daniel Bard. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Billy Shakes.
All right, well, Matt, thank you again for joining us tonight. And on behalf of Josh, Dan, and Mason, and, well, of course, me, the oldest of the Erics, we'd like to thank you for listening to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. And until next time, we'll keep the bench warm.
That ball hit high and deep. Stretch! Get on back there. They look up. You can put it on the board. Yes!
Into deep left center for Mitchell, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
That great music you're listening to is by Justin Nozick. Thanks to him for producing that music for us. You've been listening to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. Make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We are at Benchwarmers TP.
Really, Walling? Really?
I am the oldest.
I mean, it's
there
factually
by
true.
like 3 to 5
That might
days.
be true. That might be true. But screw you, Dan.
I'm going to call myself the youngest
What?
of the Masons on the podcast.
You are.
Why?
I'm the youngest.
Why me?
Mason the younger.
Because
I'm younger.
you apparently officially nicknamed him it. Screw you, Dan.
Well, someone had
Can't
to.
help that I was born
Nobody
earlier
had to.
than Eid.
Walling is fine.